Hello everyone, this is DJAron of Music Access. The entire nation is suffering from the disaster of the sunken ferry. For the latest updates, we turn now to Arirang TV's special coverage on the sunken ferry. We'll be right back after the special.
It's 2 p.m. on Wednesday, April 23rd here in Korea. Live from Seoul, I'm Moon Gon-young. It's been 1 week now since a nearly 7,000-ton Sewol ferry sank into waters with more than 470 people on board. 150 have been confirmed dead so far, and that figure continues to rise by the hour, it seems, as more bodies are retrieved from the sunken vessel. Now, more than 150 remain unaccounted for. Now, search and rescue operations, now in an 8th day down off Korea's southwestern coast, have been in high gear day and night, but not a single survivor has been found since the day of the accident. Search and rescue efforts, that's where we begin this afternoon at Paengmokgung Harbor, roughly 20 kilometers from the site of this ship capsize. We have a correspondent at Paengmokgung Harbor, the nearest port from the accident site. Our Hwang Sang-hee joins us live. Sang-hee, dozens of bodies were retrieved in the search and rescue operations overnight, but still no word of a single survivor.
That's right, Kanyang. We are now onto our 8th day of search and rescue operations, but not a single survivor has been found since the ferry capsized, but the death toll continues to rise by the hour. Now, most of the bodies that have been retrieved today have not been identified yet, but they do come with very specific descriptions, and most of them are suspected to be students. And still, some 150 people remain missing inside the sunken ship, and most of them are students from Tanwon High School. The families of the missing camping out here at the Paengmokgung Harbor are clinging onto their last shred of hope, but they are growing restless. I've seen family members who received reports confirming the death of their child pass out, and others are weeping and crying out into the open sea, telling their children to return soon. Temporary mortuaries will be set up at this harbor, and funeral services will start running today. Kanyang?
Right, devastating, heartbreaking indeed. Now, the search operations today, have we seen any progress?
Well, the rescue team did succeed in entering the vessel's cafeteria yesterday afternoon, this coming more than a day after they succeeded in securing a route into the vessel's cafeteria. Now, this is where most of the passengers were believed to have been at the time of the accident, because it was breakfast time when the ship started to list. Now, the rescue team says they will focus their search on the 3rd and 4th floor of the vessel. Now, the 4th floor is where the cabins are, and this is another area that authorities believe that many passengers were at the time of the accident. More than 200 rescue boats, 34 aircraft, and some 550 rescue personnel will be taking part in today's rescue operations. This has been Hwang Sang-hee reporting from Paengmokgung Harbor.
The entire nation is mourning the loss of so many lives, so young and so abruptly taken away. Koreans are holding candlelight vigils, making donations on and offline, coping with this tragic incident together. Meanwhile, in Ansan, the city touched the most by this tragedy, a memorial service is taking place to pay tribute to the young victims from Tanwon High School. We have our Connie Kim joining us live from the Ansan Olympic Memorial Hall, where a group memorial altar has been set up. Connie.
Hi, Gonyang. I'm connecting to you live from Ansan Olympic Memorial Hall, which is about 5 minutes away from Tanwon High School. Now, the altar behind me opened up to the public this morning with streams of friends and families paying their last visits and paying their last respects. Now, a total of 47 portraits of Tanwon High School students and teachers are displayed here. The total includes the 25 students whose bodies were released to their families this morning. The task force team from the Gyeonggi-do Province Education Office decided to set up this temporary altar as it's difficult to arrange a group funeral for the deceased. With more bodies being retrieved from waters off Chindo Island, more are expected to arrive here in the days to come. To help this city in mourning, citizens of Ansan and volunteers from all over the country have come together.
To help support our community in this time of need, we have made all of our medicine and resources available to Danwon High School, and will continue to do so until the altar is removed.
We think people from all over the world
Park
will come
Pan-moon
here
President,
today.
Ansan Volunteer
About
Committee of
100
Korean Red
volunteers are
Cross.
here to support the families of the victims. We are going to distribute food, drinks, and assist mourners.
As the families of the victims wish to hold the memorial altar for all of those who have passed, it will be set up at the Hwarang Recreation Park next week. Kanyang?
Our hearts go out to all the victims and their families. Now, for the survivors, we hear some of the students have been discharged from the hospital and others will be going home soon.
Right, Kanyang. They were 80% of the students that have been receiving medical treatment at Korea University Ansan Hospital were scheduled to be discharged depending on their mental and physical conditions. The director of the hospital said yesterday that keeping the hospitals for too long in the hospital may actually make it a stress factor and hinder the recovery processes. However, the hospital held a press briefing earlier and did not confirm whether those who were expected to be released were in fact allowed to go home. Now, when they do, they will of course receive regular counseling sessions and, if needed, medication as well. Tanon High School, which has been closed temporarily since last week's accident, will reopen Thursday for students that were not on board the Seoul ferry. This has been Connie Kim reporting live from Ansan Olympic Memorial Hall.
A total of 14 teachers from Tanon High School were on the ill-fated trip to the resort island of Jeju when the Seoul ferry sank. On that Wednesday, when the ferry capsized, 3 teachers were rescued while 11 remained unaccounted for. One of those teachers who did not make it was more concerned about her students than herself until the very end. Our Connie Lee has a story of Chun Soo-young.
In the last desperate moments before the ship was going down, a daughter texts her mother, "Mom, the ship is sinking." In shock and in confusion, the mother calls her daughter, Chun Soo-young, right away.
Mother of Chun Soo-young, teacher aboard sunken ferry. I told her hurry and wear a life vest, but all she said was, "Mom, the students are all wearing life vests." Now that I think about it, this meant that the students had life vests on while she did not.
To her boyfriend, Soo-young texts him that there are no life vests. "I'm sorry." The boyfriend calls her immediately, but they hang up after 12 seconds on the line. Soo-young tells him that she needs to call her students' parents.
Boyfriend of Chun Soo-young, teacher aboard the sunken ferry. She said the ship was sinking and that she had to quickly get all her students in life vests. We hung up shortly after and she said her battery was running low and that she needed to call her students' parents.
It was Soo-young's second year as a homeroom teacher at Danwon High School. And as for the school's yearly field trip, this one to Jeju Island on the Seoul ferry was her first. Her room remains untouched since the day she left for the ill-fated trip. Her bike, too, remains parked, waiting for Soo-young to return. Apparently, her grandmother is also waiting for her granddaughter to come home safely.
Mother of Chun Soo-young, her grandmother still believes that she is alive. She says that her granddaughter is safely inside the ship. She continues to believe that.
But as much as there is sadness over the loss, her mother is also proud of her daughter, who put the lives of her students before her own. Connie Lee, Arirang News.
Now, 1 week has passed since the ferry sinking and no additional survivors have turned up, only bodies. The public is nonetheless showing its support, keeping hope alive, and a yellow ribbon movement